You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy Mars Day. I'm so grateful you're here with me to talk all about Jupiter moving into Pisces. What does it mean for us? This is a transit that will last the next 5 months, and we'll also revisit this energy at the end of next year. Jupiter was in Pisces earlier in 2021 before it went retrograde and went back into Aquarius. So we're sort of seeing this bouncing back and forth when it comes to the giant gas planet of Jupiter going from Aquarius to Pisces, back to Aquarius. And we've seen those themes playing out as well. So we'll dive into that energy, what it means for you, how to find out what part of your chart this will be activating. And we will also talk about what's going on with the moon today. It's still in Libra as of this morning. It moves into Scorpio this afternoon. Good morning, Susan. Thank you for being here. I know a lot of people are looking forward to Jupiter in Pisces. It's a really positive transit. Really, anytime we're talking about Jupiter energy, there's a lot of positivity involved, but especially when it comes to Jupiter in Pisces. So let's dive right in. For those of you who might be unfamiliar with Jupiter, it is the planet of abundance. So this looks like expansion, growth, good luck, faith, hope, truth, generosity, optimism, hope, excess as well with the shadow side of Jupiter. And Jupiter is all about philosophy. It's all about higher learning, higher education. So that's where that expansion component comes in, as well as travel. Jupiter loves long-term travel, and you can think about it as, travel being a form of expansion, learning new things, seeing the world, broader concepts. You'll see here, Jupiter is also the great benefic. And hopefully I'm saying that right. But in astrology, we have benefic planets and malefic planets. So, the Latin root there, beneficial, it has a positive energy. Jupiter is the most positive planet, while other planets like Saturn are more malefic. So they have more of a negative effect. Now, that doesn't always mean that when Jupiter is involved in a transit or where Jupiter is in your chart is going to bring positivity all the time. Again, Jupiter is known for excess. So too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing. Same with, Saturn, when we're talking about benefic versus malefic. Even though there's more of a negative influence with planets like Saturn, we need that sometimes. We need those restrictions. We need those boundaries. So we're talking about a lot of positivity when it comes to Jupiter, but don't blindly think that this is all going to be good all the time. Jupiter also is known for blind optimism. So maybe giving people the benefit of the doubt a little bit too much. You know what I mean? Also, kind of jumping before you see the ground is that Jupiter energy. And Jupiter is moving into Pisces. This is the most sensitive sign. It's the last sign of the zodiac. So there's great wisdom and spirituality that comes with Pisces energy. I like to think of Pisces as kind of like the old woman of the zodiac. It's all about all the wisdom learned, kind of being closer to other realms, being able to communicate through the veil. Fantasy, illusion, even clairvoyance is that energy that comes with Pisces. Empathy, compassion. Pisces is the fish, and it's the most sensitive sign of the zodiac. So sensitive as in emotionally sensitive, even physically sensitive, but also mentally sensitive or spiritually sensitive. Pisces tend to be the most spiritual because they can sort of communicate with spirituality a little bit more easily. And Pisces is a water sign, so it definitely activates our emotions, and it can make us more empathetic and compassionate. We can be sensitive to other people's emotions as well. So when Jupiter is in Pisces, it's a really lovely energy because Jupiter is at home in Pisces. In traditional astrology, Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces. And, Pisces has two rulers, Jupiter and Neptune. So in more modern astrology, we tend to think of Neptune energy more when we think of Pisces, but Jupiter is still the traditional ruler and is right at home in this Pisces energy. I know, Court, you have all the Pisces in your chart. I know you have been so excited for this transit. You've been hyping me up too. So while Jupiter is in Pisces until May 10th, we can expect more expansion when it comes to our spirituality. We can dream a little bit bigger. Jupiter amplifies everything it touches. So we're really going to feel heightened emotions, heightened sensitivity. I would imagine over the next 5 months, the spiritual awakening that's been happening all over the world, so many people waking up and becoming more interested in spirituality, that's only going to be amplified over the next 5 months. This is also just looking like good vibes to begin 2022, and boy, do we need it. So, let's talk about, I mentioned Jupiter bouncing back and forth between Aquarius and Pisces. Jupiter has been in Aquarius since the end of July. And Aquarius is more technologically driven. It's more about innovation, technology. So we've seen a lot of technological expansion while Jupiter has been in Aquarius. We've seen medical technology, even just over the weekend, right around Christmas. I'm not sure if you saw this, but a new telescope was launched into space that's even stronger than the Hubble telescope. It's called the Webb telescope. And it's really cool that this happened, right at the end of Jupiter in Aquarius. Also, right around when Venus went retrograde, because this telescope will actually be so strong that it could allow us to see into the past, because light takes so long to travel. If we're able to see light far enough away, we could actually see the aftermath of the Big Bang, the creation of our universe. Very Venus retrograde vibes, right? Going back in time, seeing how the universe was created potentially. But you can think of that technological expansion while Jupiter has been in Aquarius. Now that Jupiter is moving into Pisces, it's more about that emotional, spiritual expansion. So you might have gained new perspectives with Jupiter and Aquarius in the back half of 2021. You might have innovated in some way in your life, made some changes, or maybe there was a little bit of rebellion for you. You can also think of the Great Resignation. So many people leaving their jobs, rebelling against the patriarchy with Jupiter in Aquarius. Now Jupiter is moving into Pisces. So this is a renewed sense of faith, a renewed sense of hope. We can expect more creativity and imagination with Jupiter in Pisces. If you have been thinking about traveling, especially long-term travel, you wanted to book that trip, you can expect seeing other cultures, seeing other parts of the world to really expand you spiritually, at least if you're doing it before May of 2022 or at the very end of 2022 while Jupiter is in Pisces. And again, Jupiter is going to go back into Aquarius at the back half of 2022. So we'll likely see more of that technological expansion a little later on in 2022. But for the next 5 months, it's all about healing, spirituality, emotions, expanding our emotional awareness, just heightening our sensitivity, being more compassionate, being more empathetic. Me looking up how to move to Mexico. Exactly. Yeah. Jupiter and Pisces. Just move to Mexico. Exactly. It's all about expanding your awareness with Jupiter and Pisces. So it should be a really pleasant transit for the next 5 months, much lighter energy. We do have Venus retrograde right now. Saturn is square to Uranus still. So that's bringing a little bit of tension, a little bit of conflict, maybe internally, that you're working out until December 31st. Venus retrograde could bring up some snags in relationship, love, and money, but at least we have Jupiter and Pisces allowing us to be a little bit more sensitive, be a little bit more emotional, and flow through changes more easily. See the silver linings, see the optimism that whatever circumstances come your way will bring. So really the first couple weeks of 2022, we'll be feeling this energy, and I'm excited for what it will bring. I should mention that Jupiter moves into Pisces around 8 p.m. Pacific time on December 28th. So the planet doesn't actually move into Pisces for another few hours. You can see this is a look at the current chart right now, but if we jump ahead 12 hours, there she is, Jupiter in Pisces. So you can imagine Jupiter moving into Pisces for the next couple months. Then it goes retrograde. It'll go back into Aquarius. If you follow my mouse here, then it'll bounce back into Pisces at the end of 2022. And this is a good point to talk about how this is going to affect you and your charts. So if you have your birth chart, take a look at what planets are in Pisces. Those planets will be activated the most, especially any planets in the lower degrees of Pisces will certainly be activated over the next 5 months. But also pay attention to where Pisces is in your chart, which house it rules in your chart. And that is an area of your life you should expect a lot of expansion, a lot more emotional awareness in the first half of 2022. So for example, I know Court, you're a Pisces rising. So of course, Jupiter in Pisces is going to activate your sense of self and bring abundance when it comes to how you view your physical appearance. That's just an example because I know you're a Pisces rising. For me, this is going to activate my 7th house of relationships, which is really nice. I'm really excited for Jupiter and Pisces, bringing abundance and expansion to my romantic relationships, to my relationships with other people. And if you know Pisces people out there, this is going to affect them even more so than the rest of us, Pisces and Pisces rising, because those energies really dominate your chart. So this could look like a period of great emotional expansion and awareness for you if you have a lot of Pisces energy in your chart. Julian, you have your North Node in Pisces, so your purpose is going to be activated in the next 5 months and at the end of 2022. That's my partner, so I'm excited for that. He's going to step more into his purpose with Jupiter in Pisces. All right, let's talk about what the moon is doing today too, because that's important as well. The moon is still in Libra as of this morning. So let's jump back on the chart here and you can see the moon actually made a couple connections in the middle of the night for those of us here on the West Coast. In the east of the United States, this looked like early morning for you, and in other parts of the world, this might have been mid-morning. But earlier today, whatever part of the world you're in, the moon squared off to Venus and then Pluto, because remember, Venus and Pluto are now pulling away from yet another conjunction with each other, and Venus is still retrograde, moving backwards through Capricorn from our vantage point here on Earth. So at 3 a.m. Pacific time, The moon formed a square to Venus retrograde, challenging each other, these two energies conflicting each other, which could have brought some conflict in your relationships. It could have brought some stress when it comes to money or your relationship to money. The moon being in Libra really has us striving for internal balance, while Venus retrograde is thinking about long term. It's very nostalgic. It's thinking way in the past as well, being retrograde. So Venus is kind of rocking the boat early this morning, bringing our attention to the distant past or the distant future, and maybe causing some issues with loved ones. Luckily, for those of us here on the West Coast, this happened at 3 a.m., so hopefully you just slept right through these squares, but you might have felt it a little bit more if you live in Eastern time zones. Then at 5 a.m., the moon squared off to Pluto because, again, these two planets, for the next, week or so, they are going to be activated by the moon back to back while they're still very close to each other in the sky. So when the moon squares off to Pluto at 5 a.m., this could have looked like really intense emotions, profound emotions, maybe deeply buried feelings coming to the surface, power struggles as well, especially with that Venus influence. But this being the third quarter moon, the last quarter moon in Libra, is a good time to break bad habits. And when the moon squared off to Pluto early this morning, it might have brought your emotional awareness to some bad habits, to some limiting beliefs. It might have made you feel more compulsive or reactive as well, but use that Libra moon energy, this waning moon energy, to release any bad habits, any negative emotions or beliefs that came up for you early this morning. The last connection the moon makes before it enters Scorpio is a nice harmonious trine to Jupiter, what we've been talking about all morning. So this is actually the last connection that Jupiter will make before it moves into Pisces. It gets one more hit from the moon while it's in Aquarius. And this is a nice energy. Both of these bodies are in air signs. So this looks like the nice, balanced, harmonious Libra moon harmonizing with the great benefic, this positive energy of Jupiter. And this brings a boost of optimism for us midday here on the West Coast, a little later in the afternoon on the East Coast, or this evening if you live in Europe or other parts of the world. This is a generous transit, with it being a trine. This is just like harmony, abundance, positivity, all mixed in one transit. Really an enjoyable transit, making it more enjoyable to be around other people, making it just more enjoyable to be alive in general when the moon forms this trine to Jupiter. So pay attention to what's going on around noon Pacific time for you, and you might just feel a little pep in your step. Because, like I said, a trine energy is harmonious. Jupiter brings positivity. Libra brings harmony as well. This is just like A+ for a transit. It really doesn't get much better than this. So that's the last connection the Libra moon makes before it enters Scorpio around 1 p.m. Pacific time. And at this point, we're talking about a waning crescent moon. The waning moon is always the time of release and introspection, but as the moon gets closer to a new moon, especially being in Scorpio for the next couple days, this is really a time of surrender and release. And Scorpio energy rules our deepest emotions and our inner power, our inner control. So this could be a time where deep emotions are resurfacing over the next couple days, and really showing us what we need to let go of, what needs to be left behind in 2021. The Scorpio moon can show us these things. This is all about surrendering control, letting go. All those plans you had for 2021, maybe you didn't check them all off your list, but the last couple days of the year are a time to just let go. Really get intimate with yourself. Reflect on how much you've learned this year, how much more you've tapped into your personal power this year. What deep emotions have come up for you throughout the year? These are all things to pay attention to with the moon in Scorpio. And this releasing, surrendering energy with the waning moon is really a time to clear any limiting beliefs or bad habits, again, that you don't want to take with you into 2022. So the last couple of days of the year, if you are really feeling like something is holding you back or you're having a hard time letting go of something, maybe you went through a really traumatic experience in 2021. I know we all had some difficult moments this year. We are still hopefully on the tail end of a pandemic. So it's not like 2021 was the easiest year of our lives. All of us experienced trauma probably in some way or another. If that's the case for you, really reflect on how you've changed, what's shifted for you, what's transformed within you with that Scorpio energy, and release what is no longer serving you. If there was trauma, if there was some intensity that happened to you this year, that's okay, but that doesn't have to be part of the story in 2022. It doesn't have to be. And these next couple days are the time to really let go and cut the cord, release attachment to any trauma, to any negativity that came up in 2021. And it's important to talk about also over the next couple days, Mercury is forming conjunctions to Venus and Pluto. So I bring this up when we're talking about the Scorpio moon that will be with us over the next couple days, because Mercury is that messenger, it's communication, it's talking, it's thinking. So you might be doing a lot of reflecting when Mercury connects with these two planets. This could look like healing or profound conversations, especially with that moon in Scorpio activating our deepest emotions. You might have some really, like I said, profound conversations or emotions, thoughts, downloads that come through over Wednesday and Thursday while Mercury is connecting with Venus retrograde and with Pluto. So that's kind of what's coming up while the moon is in Scorpio. The moon doesn't make any connections after it moves into Scorpio until Wednesday for those of us here on the West Coast. So that's what's going on today. Let's do a brief overview and then we will pull a card. So we have an exciting transit today. Jupiter is moving into its home sign of Pisces. Jupiter is the planet of abundance, optimism, manifestation, growth. When it's in Pisces, we can expect our sensitivity, our compassion, our empathy to be amplified, and we can expect a deeper connection or more expansion when it comes to our spirituality and our wisdom. Jupiter will be in Pisces until May of 2022. It does go retrograde during that time and will go back into Aquarius, but then moves back into Pisces at the end of 2022. So the next 5 months are really a time to focus on emotional and spiritual expansion. This energy is good vibes all around. You can expect more positivity, more hope, more optimism in general. This morning, the moon is making its last couple steps through Libra. It did connect to Venus and Pluto this morning, forming squares to both of them, which could have brought about some tension or conflict depending on where you live. This afternoon, Jupiter forms a trine to the moon. So we get a nice dose of optimism, a burst of positivity before the moon moves into Scorpio around 1 p.m. Pacific time. The Scorpio moon will be with us over the next couple days, which could surface some deep emotions and reveal what we need to let go of, what we need to transform and release before we enter a new year and a new moon phase with a new moon on January 2nd. All right, let's pull a card. And yes, let it go. That is the Scorpio moon energy. Just release it and let it go. So today I'm going to pull from the Universe Has Your Back deck because this is Jupiter and Pisces energy, right? The universe has your back. That's what Jupiter and Pisces reminds us of. Figured perfect deck for this fun forecast today. So let me shuffle up. This is the time to ask your questions if you have any. And let me know how you're feeling about Jupiter and Pisces. Where's Jupiter in your chart? Where's Pisces in your chart? And that's also a thing to look into. Where is Jupiter in your chart? I know we talked about where Pisces is, but pay attention to where Jupiter is too. You know, for example, if you have your Jupiter in Virgo, card just flew out of the deck. If you have your Jupiter in Virgo, it's going to be opposing Jupiter in Pisces. So pay attention to what angles Jupiter is making in your chart to the current Jupiter, and that could also reveal what kind of relationship you will have to Jupiter and Pisces, how Jupiter and Pisces will specifically feel for you. All right, this is the card that flew out of the deck. The moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. The moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. Ooh, I love this card. I feel like Jupiter in Pisces is allowing us to realign with love a little bit more easily. Pisces has this deep, loving energy. You know, a lot of times people talk about Pisces being romantic, but I feel like that comes from our ability to deeply understand love. When we're talking about Pisces energy, it is that wisdom. It is that higher understanding of spirituality, what love actually means. It's not necessarily that romantic, I want to buy you flowers love. It's like my soul loves your soul. That's Pisces energy. So the moment you can realign with love, not just for other people, but with yourself, that self-love, love of spirit, love of God, you know, that is love of self. We all have spirit within us. Clear direction will be presented to you. And Pisces is more intuitive. You know, people with heavy Pisces placements can get downloads a little bit more easily, usually connect through the veil more easily. Just be more open to direction from God, from spirit. So when you realign to that loving energy, rediscover that love of yourself, whatever love means to you on a deep level, your direction will be presented to you. So if you're feeling lost right now, if you're feeling a little bit all over the place at the end of 2021, trying to reflect on this crazy, crazy year, lean into that loving energy and trust. Jupiter in Pisces allows a renewed sense of trust too. Trust that the direction will be presented to you. The road will be formed in front of you as long as you're in that loving energy. As long as you trust that there is a higher plan for you, that you are taken care of, that the universe has your back. So that's our mantra today. The universe has my back. The moment I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. Such a perfect card for Jupiter and Pisces. Such a lovely way to end this live stream. So I hope you're all getting excited for the energy that's coming our way as of 8 p.m. Pacific time tonight on December 28th, when Jupiter moves into Pisces for the next 5 months. I'm excited to see what this does on a collective level. I think we could all use a little bit more love in the world. I think that's always the case, but especially after the wild 2021 we've had, I think we could all use a little bit more love. So I'm sending all the love to you this morning from Arizona. We're streaming on the road yet again today. I'm so grateful I get to do this with you from pretty much anywhere in the world. And I'm so grateful to connect with you today. I hope that you're just as excited as I am for Jupiter in Pisces. And I'm excited to talk about Mercury transits tomorrow and Thursday, what that will mean. I'm hoping that brings a lot of healing, loving conversations with Jupiter in Pisces. So I will see you again right back here tomorrow morning, talking about that Mercury energy. Hopefully you'll be feeling Jupiter in Pisces already, and we can chat about that as well. Thank you, Court. And thank you for talking about Jupiter in Pisces. She has been posting about this for weeks. Like, she has been getting hyped for this and getting me hyped for it too. So I'm grateful that we connected and that I get to kind of infuse your energy into these live streams as well. And thank you, Susan. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you always. And I appreciate everybody who tuned in. I hope this gave you some great insight about the energy to come over the next 5 months and over the next few hours. All right, I'll see you right back here, or actually not here, but here. I'll be somewhere new. I'll see you tomorrow. But until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.